free leg. It's going to help you make the loop also. Now you can, if you've got a considerable amount of speed, it's very difficult to do a loop. It becomes more and more difficult to do a loop as you have more and more speed. And many skaters in their step sequence do their loops with quite a lot of speed because they have to cover the whole ice for the step sequence, so you got to keep your speed up, right? Which does make some of the turns impossible to do. Brackets you can't do with too much speed, and also a loop you can't really do with too much speed. Although I will say that I could do, okay, here's my loop with very high speed. Did you like my loop? It was a big loop that crossed up there. You make a huge loop. There's nothing in the rule book that says how big your loop has to be. So you can do that loop and it is still a loop. Yeah, the technical specialist might not recognize it as such, and it does waste a lot of time also. But so, yeah, you can help yourself get around these loops by using some spinal twist. So in other words, if you want to start a back inside loop with your shoulders already here, when you turn them as you do the loop, it kind of makes the loop quicker. Right? So you can add that to your technique for interest, or perhaps it makes the loop easier for you as well. I would use that twisting technique if I was going to do these two back inside loops in a row. Check this out. So I'm going to step on this mark here, first this way and then this way, just to get used to twisting my hips under my shoulders. Shoulders are staying oriented straight forward into the camera, and the hips are first facing that way and then 180 degrees that way. Now if I try to advance up the rink while I do that, I get little loops on the ice. I get a loop on one foot and then a loop on the other foot. Yeah, so I can get my loops out of the way of my step sequence really quick. And loop, loop, cha-da-da, on to the next thing. Now, if you really want to show some prowess with your loops, you will do loop, change, loop. Almost nobody does loop, change, loop in their step sequence. It's too difficult, and you don't get extra, level of difficulty for doing a loop, change, loop. Maybe you administrators watching this could introduce that at your next meeting, ISU meeting. Choctaw, Choctaw, back and forth is more difficult than doing, Choctaw, Choctaw. That's much more difficult, makes the Choctaws much more difficult. And it's the same with a loop where you stay on one foot. So let's say you're going to do a back inside loop. You want to do a back outside loop right afterwards. So inside loop, outside loop. Yeah, I already taught you that you want to start your loops with a nice deep edge. And to do this loop, change, loop, I had to make sure I get onto a nice deep edge to enable that back outside loop. Check it out again, how I use these edges. Start with a nice deep edge, and a nice deep edge. Okay, I wasn't too proud of that. Got into kind of an ugly position. Let's see if I can do that better. Oh, that was even worse. I'm not trying to pretend that figure skating is easy out here. You would think that after practicing more than half a century, I would be able to do that without falling in front of all my supporters and everything. Okay, I'm not going to change the subject too much. I'm just going to go and get it right. Yeah. Wow, I used to do loop change loop by the hour, and I won the Canadian senior figure competition a few times. I was pretty good in figures. I did very good loop change loops, but I don't practice them very much anymore, so that's what they've become. I can still do it, but it's not pretty. But the basic fundamentals are there, and so I tried to get speed out of the first loop by using the knee. Speed! And yeah, it's not smooth. You want to straighten your leg as you come out, not too quick and not too slow either. You got to find the right timing to straighten, and you want to make so it stays nice and smooth. And you'll notice also the free leg goes from behind to in front. Behind, in front. Yeah. Well, I guess I can be satisfied with having taught you a few things, and not so much with having impressed you with my loops. Yeah, they're still better than average after all the time that I put into it, right? Many people struggle with loops, especially learning them. So I can't think of anything else I need to share with you right now as far as doing loops. Oh yes, I do have one more thing that I wanted to mention about loops. So neglecting like how your arms move, how your free leg moves, how you twist, all those sorts of things, how you don't over rotate, all those mechanical considerations about positions and motions. We can think of the loop, and we can think of much of what we do out here in sport in terms of the energy that it takes. And when you go into a loop, this is doesn't take much energy to glide on an outside edge, but it takes a lot of energy to get through that loop, because as you're going around this tight circle here, there's more pressure. I don't know, because of the centripetal force adding to your weight as you go around that small circle, you need to be prepared to work harder. If you're not prepared to work harder, the loop's not gonna really happen. I think this might be another thought that could be in your mind. Pressure, and then release the pressure as you come out. So it's just a gliding edge going in, and then it's hard work doing the loop. Pressure, balance, many things difficult for the loop, and then gliding out of it. Try to glide out of the loop according to the definition of our sport, figure skating, which is supposed to be mostly on one foot at a time. Try to glide out of your loop on one foot. So you're not going to put the other foot down, you're going to make sure you have control on that one foot before you go on to the next part of your step sequence. Yeah, if you want higher GOE, show the control on one foot coming out of your loop before you go on to the next thing. Yeah, I'm sure there's something else that I missed about loops, and perhaps you've got some questions, so you can ask them in the comments. And you can tell all your friends to subscribe to the Gary Moves channel, and you can come back and see me again for my next video. All right, bye-bye. Thanks for watching.